Hey everyone, welcome back to the Stubbornly Refused exercise series. So as always, first book on the reading list. This book is very important. Without a good understanding of this book and then practically applied over a long period of time, it is very difficult to get better from OCD. All the books are important, but there's a reason why this book is number one. If you haven't watched the other parts of the series, I am about halfway done with the exercises, so let's jump right into it. Before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below. Thank you again, Phil, for all the hard work you do. Phil at OCDrecovery.com. We can get you in a timely fashion. We work all over the world, translator calls, different time zones. Please reach out. Do not suffer in silence. So, exercise 9. Find something that you are now or have been recently been emotionally upset about that you acted foolishly about. Okay, so some of the answers you had here was someone lied to you and you felt furious and homicidal. I had a lot of that when it came to road rage. I had really bad road rage. You failed to do your regular exercises and you felt angry at yourself, very depressed. I didn't have that, but I definitely, if I failed at work, if I didn't accomplish the things I wanted to accomplish in the gym, I looked at myself like a loser, a failure, etc. You wore an informal outfit to a formal affair and felt highly embarrassed. That's something I didn't really suffer with myself. You were severely criticized by a friend you had helped, and you felt extremely hurt and self-pity. This has happened to me. It's happened to me in this career. It's happened to me in my healthcare company. It's happened with close friends of mine in real life. People come and go out of people's lives. It's rare to have people stick around for 20, 30 years and build a long-term friendship. It's very easy to kind of skate out from responsibilities and friendships, so it's understandable why this happens. You promised yourself to stop smoking and you didn't. This happened to me a lot with video games, adult websites, etc. You've selfishly harmed an innocent person. So this is always a big one for people when it comes to maybe you cut someone off in traffic or you did something you viewed as terrible and then I'm a bad person. Not just the really deep, POCD, harm OCD fears, etc. You gave into a plane phobia and drove thousands of miles. People, they won't fly. I mean, people have really bad fears. So you put yourself down for not overcoming one of your phobias. I started this one because this one's really important. This is where the fear comes from. I'm a loser. I'm an idiot. I should know better. There were plenty of times in my recovery journey where I put in a bunch of work and I would have a backsliding moment and I'd say to myself, you should know better. Why am I not getting better, etc. So I had to accept how the fear process works. It takes a long time to bring that down. So I was really bad with that stuff. This is a big one too. Yesterday I had a couple calls with people who were 15, 16, 20, 24 months into the journey. And a lot of people are 80% better, but we always focus on the wrong things because the emotional disturbance can still be what we don't want it to be, even though we're so much better than where we were. I always use that example. If you and I built a company, this is what humans do in everything, and we thought the company was worth $1 billion. It goes IPO in the stock market. Then they say the company's worth $993 million. We're missing 7, but we have 993. We say, oh, crap, I'm missing that 7. But this is why it's so important, that personal philosophy I have, contentment with where you are whilst in pursuit of what you want. Acceptance doesn't mean agreement. So that's a key one. When you remember the present or past time that you felt disturbed or acted self-defeatingly, there's definitely a lot of self-defeating actions that we do, complaining, venting, adult websites, smoking, compulsive alcohol usage, etc. There's just a lot of things that we do. And then all the typical compulsions and avoidance. Assume that you had an irrational should, ought, or must. So here's a big one when people treat us unfairly. There's a lot of anger in the world right now. There's a lot of divide for many different reasons. There's a lot of hot topics going on, like always. But, in America, we have an election season coming up. People tend to be very vigorous about their beliefs, which is unfortunate. I was one of those people for a long time. The person who lied to me absolutely should not have done that. How terrible she acted that way. She must not. People lie. They lie all the time. I'm not saying I like it. Acceptance doesn't mean agreement, but people do lie. Also look for the common irrational beliefs that often accompany your musts, so awfulizing, horribilizing, and terribilizing. Since I acted so stupidly while going back on my compulsions, which I should not have done, I am a complete moron. A lot of that self-berating. I was on a phone call earlier today with many people, but someone particularly, one of their biggest problems was self-beratement. We do this a lot. Even when I hear people getting better, they'll fight me tooth and nail on this, which I think is hilarious. I'll say, understandably so, hey, you're making progress with your thinking. And they say, I don't know, I'm not as good as you think I am. We all do this, right? And I did this myself with Rob. I can't stand it When friends who I have helped and supported criticize me if they should not, I can't stand it. I can't bear such ingratitude. You know, when you're working with mental health, people flip on a dime for multiple different reasons. It's the doubting disorder. You know, there are plenty of times where I had exposures that were done by Rob and I doubted them because I knew they were so hard. And I would get angry. I'd yell at my wife and say, this is so stupid. Why is Rob making me do this? But it was... You know, I have a lot of friends who are recovered from hardcore drugs, and a couple of friends who live in the sober houses or lived there for a year after they got sober. And dealing with people who are coming off addictions is the same exact way. They can look at you like you're the enemy when you're doing everything in their power to help them, but it is what it is. So, feelings of worthlessness and self-hatred, because I didn't follow my promise to stop smoking or any bad behavior as I should. I'm a stupid, worthless idiot. I'm no good for continuing smoking. This is how people talk to themselves. Can't believe I went back on my fears. I'm a moron. I should know better. Belief in allness, neverness, and totality. Okay? So now that I have stupidly given into XYZ compulsion, as I should not have done, I'll never be able to come over my irrational fears. So this is a big one. One of the things that took me the longest to apply was slowing things down and realizing just because I feel this way right now doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to feel that way in an hour. It could. Right? It's not in a self-reassurance manner of, oh, this too shall pass. That's wishy-washy with no depth. I don't use stuff like this. Reading a Stoic book right now, one of the chapters that I read last night was everything is impermanent. Not really accurate by any means. Yes, I could see why Stoics thought that, but your OCD will be permanent unless you put the work in. Your OCD will definitely be permanent and you will suffer for the remainder of your days unless you put the work in. And we all have to accept the possibility of even when we put the work in that we might not get better, but you got to hear that. There's too many accounts out there giving you wishy-washy, fluffy fairy tales. Life is quite brutal in many senses. It is brutal. And I didn't want to acknowledge that in many ways. Belief in perfection, specialness, and grandiosity. I must be special, perfect, noble. If I'm less than that, I'm a loser. I'm a no good moron. And I had that really bad myself. Now, when it comes to disputing, so this is, I'll kind of run through backsliding. We'll use that as an example. Okay, if I backslide, this is the worst thing ever. There's nothing worse than going backwards. Why is this irrational belief true? Why does it not conform to reality? Why shouldn't people backslide? Why must that not happen to me? And why is it terrible that it did? There is no reason why I must not backslide, although it would be highly desirable if I didn't. Actually, people are prone to backsliding. This is what happens in many things. It's highly inconvenient, and I can live with that inconvenience. Where is the evidence that my irrational belief is true, that no one should backslide? Where are the facts? Well, there is no evidence because people backslide all the time. So, et cetera, et cetera. And going through those questions is very, very important. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because chapter 9 exercise is very long. But, you know, treat yourself with building frustration tolerance when you're going through these things. It's very important. So, in what way can I support these irrational beliefs? Is there any way which I can falsify or invalidate my rational beliefs? Well, of course you can, because people backslide all the time. Remember, this book is very, very important. Mark it up, put some notes in it. Yes, you'll be compulsive at times. It's part of the journey. You're not going to get the recovery work properly done without being compulsive. Thank you again for watching. I hope you're enjoying this series. Again, Phil at OCDrecovery.com. Put the work in. It's worth it. You're not going to feel a whole lot different when you're doing it. You're going to feel like you're wasting your time. You're going to feel like you can't concentrate. It's all part of the journey. Thank you again. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.